Good evening and happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Welcome to DES209. So far, it's just Amanda and I. I'm hoping some of you guys can join me a bit later, but I thought we would get this wonderful PowerPoint thing out of the way. And we really need to do a review on some of the creative briefs that I graded today. I'm not going to show any examples because everybody's names is on theirs, and I want to keep everybody, give them their anonymity as much as possible. So we're going to go over what's included in the creative brief and what is all needed for that. So let me get back there. Okay. Okay, so the creative brief, and please tell me if you can see my screen, Amanda. Okay, thank you. Okay, I had a lot of APA papers turned in for the creative brief. The only thing that really needs to be APA formatted on your creative brief is the reference page, and that's only for the references. It doesn't have to be double spaced. It doesn't have to be hanging indent. You just have to have a reference page. So it's not strictly APA formatting. You're not writing a traditional research paper in the sense that it's something that needs to be APA formatted. So when you think about this and you're working on your resubmissions for your creative brief till Saturday night at midnight, that's when those are due. Otherwise, I won't have time to grade all of the homework on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, plus the regrade. So one regrade due by Saturday night at midnight, and what it needs to include and what it needs to be highly. We're just going over the creative briefs real quick that I graded today. Like I said, no APA formatting. It's not a traditional research paper. This is a design portfolio piece that you guys are going to get to use going forward with freelancing and pro bono projects when you take on your own personal clients. That's why I'm stressing so much that you market yourselves on the cover and the information and the design of the creative brief. It's not a simple, no, they don't really need in-text citations. You can put those in there if you feel like it. So it's not necessarily strict APA citations. So if you've got somebody else's artwork in there, like you've given them several, if it's a direct quote, then yes, I would use the in-text citation. But I don't see the reason why you would need a direct quote on your creative brief, unless it's a quote that you're going to be using as part of the ad campaign. Let me see if I can pull one up. So let's see here. So this basically ends up being a contract between you and your client when it's all finished. I know that seems really hard to believe that this could become a client or lost my words again. Contract, that's right, Lee, thank you. You guys are awesome, you're catching me. So I'm pulling up our creative brief example into InDesign or into Adobe Acrobat. And I want you guys to see, okay, this is the basic template. It has suggestions of what types of credit questions you need to ask. but it doesn't cover everything. And at the bottom, you guys notice that this is a copyrighted piece. So I got some of these turned in with the copyright selected and transferred over to the new one, or left behind and then edited. This really needs to be a designed piece that you guys are proud of and you want to show off and you want to use again and again. Let's see if I can find my creative brief again. That's the example. Don't remember who's ADL. Okay. So when I pull up mine, I'm bold out there and in front. I want everybody to see Head Geek. And I've got my contact information down here at the bottom so that, and yes, my phone number needs to be updated, but I have all of my originals so I can go back and do that at any time. So that's just the cover. So when you're actually doing your whole creative brief, you're going to have about 3 pages. That's all you really need to think about. And just coming up with the question will usually get you the word count that you need. But I'm looking for more of the research. So when I print out my creative brief, I have my information and my colors and my branding all over this thing. I'm throwing up dragonfly wings made out of G's all over this thing. Purple is everywhere. I know that this is my piece of design and I'm going to make sure that it's out there and that anybody who sees this will know who to call should this paper land on somebody else's desk at some point in time. So I have the message, I have my target audience and some clarifying questions. Then I've got perception and design. I want them to give me 3 adjectives that explains themselves or describes themselves. Give them an idea of what kind of logos they're attracted to, what kind of brands do they shop in, and what websites of competitors. I do mostly websites because I work long distance. Additional needs. Sometimes you have to ask them, do you have a logo already done for you? Or do you want a new one? Do you want it updated? Do you want to rebrand? And then you start going into things about flyers, catalogs, the promo pieces, that kind of stuff. But most of the stuff I do gets created in Illustrator, and then it gets exported as a PNG and then put into a letterhead template for that client, because instead of ordering paper and envelopes with all of their information on it, they will print it themselves at the time they create the document. Saves them a ton of money when they're paying for their own laser printer. So it's not just a page to show off something, it's a page to gather information and guide your conversation through a creative consultation. So I know it sounds kind of weird, but when you're doing a creative brief, you're going to be sitting there and you're going to ask yourself a question and you're going to talk to yourself. And as a friend once told me in my very first graphic design class, he told me it's okay if you talk to yourself and it's okay if you argue with yourself. But if you start losing the argument with yourself, that's when you need to seek professional help. So if you can't convince yourself this is a good logo to sell, and you can't convince yourself to buy that logo, then you might want to go back to the drawing board a little bit. So I know that there's a lot of creative briefs that are doing APA, just research type papers. Remember the KISS principle, guys. Keep it simple, sunshine. You just want to ask some very basic questions, fill in some information, and if you leave yourself some room, you're going to fill up that 1 page you need for copy pretty quickly. And you don't need to have type, you know, above 14 point. Now I will see, where's my comment box? Tools, comment. No, that was edit. I need to edit. I forgot. View, tools, edit. Okay. Okay, so I have 12 point, and I saw a lot of 16 point and up today when I was grading and finishing the grading. So now's the chance to go back. 12 point in a sans serif font is usually display, but that's also a really good font for you guys to be using, font size, when you're talking with a client and you're looking down and reading your work because you know you've read all this. Your client hasn't. So they will be putting this on record. You'll get a copy, they'll get a copy, and once they sign off on the payment schedule, that's their contract. That's a legally binding agreement now that they're going to pay you for your work. That's called CYA. You will have to Google what CYA stands for. So I want to make sure if you guys are having any trouble at all with the creative brief, refer to this creative brief for how you lay it out. The design of the creative brief, Lee, is towards you showing how awesome you are as a graphic designer on your paper that you're bringing to talk to them, and then you fill in the customer's information. So first and foremost, it's a piece of work that you are showing off your skills with. Second, it's you gathering information through a communication with your client. Exactly, Amanda. So you really need to market your creative brief to yourself because you're creating it. You're filling it in for a particular client. That's what a lot of students thought, that it was supposed to be designed around the client. And no, it gets designed around you, and you're going to interview the client, which in this case is also going to be you. That's where I think everybody is getting confused. Because for this very first assignment, you are essentially the client and the customer. Does that make sense? Okay, hold on just a second. I think I have something that might explain this. I have an idea that might express this a little bit better. Okay, hold on. This is going to explain it a little bit better. I know it's TikTok. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, we'll talk more about the creative brief after class if you need it. I'm waiting for several of you to get back to me about, several of them who are watching the recording, not you guys. Get back to me about a time to go over the creative brief and what needs to be said. So this creative brief is for ourselves, but we are using it using the client to answer the question. Exactly. This is a piece you can use for yourself going forward for freelance work, so that you'll have a lot of your questions answered by the client when you go meet them for the first time. That's okay. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to elaborate on, some of my hairy teaching and confusion. Dory the fish saw glitter during this episode, apparently. So if you guys need any extra help, just get with me. Good, I'm glad. Thanks for letting me know, Christine. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to get back to our lovely little PowerPoints here. And just in case, got to fill in who the client is on your creative brief, the due date. I saw a lot of information that wasn't filled out for who the client is. You can either make it up or use me. Your budget is going to be one of those research things, and you're going to go to places like Vistaprint, Zazzle to get those kind of the paper materials if you're going to need them. You can go decide, look at the advertising information off of Facebook and get a good idea of how much they want to spend for online advertising. That's all going to go into the budget, plus the fee you're going to charge them. So I saw some very small budgets of $1,200. That's barely going to pay you guys, you as a designer. So you might want to think about upping that a little bit if you're going to be supplying the printed materials and hosting any of the websites. The main objective for some of these is going to be establishing an online presence, and others is going to be getting more people through the door because of that 50th anniversary thing. Target audience, a lot of you had that figured out in your APA papers. It just wasn't formatted into a creative brief that you can use in the future. So there's some really great research done. It just wasn't put in a organized way that was easy to look at, easy to pass on, and a good way to just keep it brief, the KISS principle again. Your timeline is the 4 weeks that we're going through class, or you can extend that if you want it. So the objective, concise statement, very short. Typically it's buy me, sell me, whatever. That's the call to action. You want them through the door, come get a cone of ice cream or ice cream cone, come watch your child eat the bottom out of the cone and wear it all over their clothes. If they don't know what the purpose of their project is, you got to find ways for the effectiveness to be measured. And if you are using Adobe Views and you have, with that, you've got 5 sites that you can host through Adobe, I can go into my business catalyst with Adobe, and every week it sends me a analytics page. It shows me where I'm being effective and where I'm not, and where I need to improve and what I can do to improve. Of course, there's always that lovely money thing. What is the most important message that you as a company wants to convey, not you as the designer? That's actually a question you can use. So ask design questions. Always ask open-ended ones, something that they're going to have to participate in the conversation for. Finally, I remembered the word. So ask them about those logos. Find out what they admire and what they find tasteful and creative. What kind of tone do they want to set? Sleek and upscale, fashionable and trendy. Do you want to market to the tweens and have everything in these really odd colors and no matching socks? And the 3 adjectives that describe your company, think about that for yourself as you're creating the design of the brief. So if I look at my creative brief and I think about those 3 adjectives, I'm going, I like purple, I like dragonflies because they show growth and it takes 5 years to actually reach maturity. And it's all about starting a new beginning with a dragonfly. And what would be the third thing? Third adjective, completely off the wall bonkers. That would be my, purple, dragonfly, bonkers. I think I watched one too many episodes of Tiny Toons when I was a teenager. It might have been DuckTales who did it. I'm not sure yet. But I'm hoping that gives those that are having a little issue with the issue with the assignment some insight and how to get going. And what do you say we get looking? I love DuckTales too. I haven't seen the new one yet. Yes, the dragonfly is a symbol of motherhood, and it does have a Native American spirit animal attached meaning to it. Not sure what that is at the moment. I know they just released the new DuckTales. I have not watched it. I have a website I can go to watch it. I just don't want to ruin my childhood memories of sitting in front of the TV singing the theme song as loud as I possibly could to annoy my mother, who was sewing in my bedroom. I've heard it doesn't measure up quite to the old one. They didn't take as much care with the animation. So that's just what I've heard. I don't know for sure. Back to our PowerPoints. I'm going to go ahead and turn this one off. I know I've emailed this to everybody, but if you need a copy of it, let me know. So for today, a very short PowerPoint. We are going to do the proto item template, and we've already done the logo critiques. I'm not going to do the creative brief critiques unless you guys ask me to, because I don't want to chance anybody's anonymity based off some of the research that was turned in this week. So I'm going to leave those off the table until I get, the thumbs up from somebody. But promotional products, they're specialty advertising things. They're normally called swag. And a good example of this is the basket my daughter won in a raffle the other night. It is full of merchandise from her high school, from t-shirts to water bottles, lanyards, a ID holder so that you can get on the bus, holds all your lunch cards and all that good stuff. I mean, this was a huge basket. It came with a couple of water bottles and funky straws, and everything on it said Cody High School. So when you're thinking about your your promotional products and you're wanting to print the names on them, say Dharma Games. You don't really want to give Dharma Games an ice cream cup, do you? No, you're going to give them a thumb drive with a sample game on it, so they'll come back and buy the next game. You'll want to upgrade to the full version. You want to give them a lanyard to maybe hang that thumb drive on because it's reusable. I've lost count of the amount of thumb drives I have come home from with search and rescue information on them that I have absolutely no need of the California FEMA office numbers because I live in Wyoming. But they gave me a nationwide directory on a thumb drive. 50 gigs of memory on this thumb drive for one directory. I wiped it and put it back up with my portfolio on it. It was a huge thumb drive. It was free. And it's got Wyoming OneSource on it. And that tells me that, yeah, that's my promotional directory. And I'm not using FEMA stuff right now, so I don't need to do yada yada. But I have the cool swag. So what about the creamery, the ice cream shop? We could do t-shirts. We could do glass bottles from 50 years ago, fill them with milk, or, sell cream out of these things because that's what they used to come in. And think about the ice cream cups. They have a big logo on it with the 50th anniversary on it. So it's going to be some really fun stuff that you want to pick out. Doesn't mean you have to use all of it. You only have to pick 3. So if you have the space, you could come up with a striking slogan, some memorable phrase to bring it back. Dharma gains, moving you into the future with your karma. You know, something ridiculous. I mean, Bart Simpson's was, well, no, Homer Simpson's is don't, 2 little letters and an exclamation point. It's a slogan. Think of a catchphrase. They can be used in conjunction. They can be used by themselves. In horizons that hear me now. Can you hear me now? That question is constantly being asked in this house with my husband's hearing aids. So, tips for writing a slogan. It works with the logo to promote the brand identity, and a lot of this goes into the television side of marketing, but it ensures that it stays in the memory of your customer. Take your time, do some research on it. Keep it simple, sunshine. Use humor if at all possible. You know me, I love a good laugh at myself. I can fall down having a great time on roller skates. Well, I can't anymore, but I used to. Got up on my skates for the first time in almost 30 years. Stood up and fell on my rear. Got up laughing because I felt like a kid again. I wasn't laughing at the stitches at the end of it because I landed on my face at the end. But, you know, you take what you can get. I'm going to wear my scars with pride. So think about the humor and what your project is and who your client is. Focus on what makes that company different from every other ice cream shop in the country. Simply Hooked is a great one, Amanda. That is awesome. You know, 2, 3 words. It's very easy to say, keep it simple, but it's also very hard to actually come up with these. And I'm not a copywriter by any means. I have the worst time with it. I can sit there and agonize over it for days. And that's where my block in design happens, is when I'm trying to write the copy. I prefer my clients to give me the copy that they want. And when I'm working a political campaign, I insist that they give me the copy, because all of it is based on issues that I haven't researched. I don't know the difference between a Republican, a Rhino, and a Democrat, and a Tea Party, or and a Libertarian. I'm going, you guys, we all live in the same country. Can't we just get along? I don't get it. So I copy. So you focus on what makes it different, and you make it timeless, like the Simply Hooked forever lure. Consider your target market. So for ice cream, you're thinking about the whole family. Timeless because it's 50 years. You can simply say with the 50th anniversary, or you can think it through and come up with something really catchy about growing into the new millennia, next century, the next decade. Here's to another 50. You know, kind of bring them in and make it memorable and catchy. And for this 50 years of ice cream, you want to really keep it family oriented, for one. I mean, who doesn't take their whole family to ice cream? I thought it was Sunday when we went to Brahms there for years. 50 Years of Flavor is a really good one, Amanda. Maybe we should hire you for the body copywriting. Next time I have to do one, I will send you send you some suggestions, you know, logos, and you send me back the copy. I'm horrible at it. It's my weakness, I know. So here's some examples, and you guys tell me what company it is. Just Do It. Who's that from? Nike. Yes. I'm loving it. And by the way, I had breakfast from this place this morning. McDonald's. Yes. Have it your way. Burger King, and I don't know why, but for the life of them at my Burger King, they cannot figure out that I do not want lettuce on my Whopper. Not that hard. Yeah, I just don't want the lettuce and the pickles. I'm good with everything else. Melts in your mouth, not in your hand. Okay, Brandon, I'll trade you the lettuce for the tomatoes. M&M's, great job, ladies. What's in your wallet? Capital One, awesome, you guys are on a roll. They're great. I remember this one from being a kid. Frosted Flakes, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, and Tony the Tiger. And then there's good. I honestly cannot remember this, but I think it's Campbell's soup. Yeah, I'm getting it confused with Folgers and the blue coffee can. So I think it's Campbell's soup. Now that I see it, I have the Folgers slogan or song running around in my head. And be very, very aware that your slogan could turn into a jingle, which could then highlight the memories of all children. And to put that into context, I grew up in Oklahoma. Yeah, Folgers in your cup, the best part of waking up. That's what's going in my head. But there's a jewelry store in Oklahoma City called B.C. Clark, and they have a jingle every year about their winter sale. So they do their sale just before Christmas. Those sales are after, but ours is just before. And to me and all the kids that I grew up with this song coming over the radio, that meant it was Christmas. It was time to go shopping. If you heard that jingle, as soon as you heard that jingle the first time, the other song you needed to hear to make it Christmas was Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. And now that I'm a grandma to 11 children and one great grandchild who's been adopted into another family, 11 grandchildren and one great grandchild. If I think about it, they're all influenced by different things that they've grown up with. They're completely different from mine. So what I remember is not the same, and they just think I'm a complete nut. And I'm going, yeah, that would be the grandma. So we've got all of those correct. Oh, it was Campbell's. We could have just snuck by for the answers. So these are the differences. Coca-Cola was happy, open happiness. I like the polar bear commercials from when I was a kid. Think different. Go further with Ford. FedEx is the world on time. BMW is the ultimate driving machine. Allstate, you're in good hands. And Disneyland Resorts is where dreams come true. So, and then there's always Walmart, save money, live better, and that gets changed. The logo gets changed. About every 5 to 10 years, they will go through a revamp on that. How do I know that? Because I was there 5 years ago. Yeah, I've been gone almost 5 years. It's hard to believe. But I worked there for 5 years, went through one transition, went through a remodel, everything changed, and remodeled the store again. Then I moved to another store who remodeled their store to match the new branding. So it's just ever moving. And now Verizon is no longer on a red background. Did you guys know that? It's on a gray background. The check mark is red, and Verizon is in black. What a concept. They just changed their colors around. And every time they do that, I can't find the darn thing in my apps on my phone. They need to stop that. I'm getting too old for this. So that's the end of my slideshow. That's the end of the toys. Close all tabs. And I will put this in the chat box if you guys want to look and watch Jerry's game the whole way through later. It's a hoot. Here I am using the word hoot. I'm an owl now. Okay, so we are going to go back to the home page, and we are all about that assignment this week because you guys, and I've noticed it's already happening, are working on that assessment. If you guys do not like your grade in the assessment after I've graded it, and you let me know, only one person has to ask, then I will reopen it for one more try for the entire class, and it'll keep the whole grade. So keep that in mind and let me know if you want to try again. Yay, yes, because I'm cool like that. I know telling you I've only got one shot at this makes me a nervous wreck. Just because I'm that awesome. Wait, thank you very much. You guys cannot see my ponytail bobbing up and down in the back, which has now turned blue because the black hair dye is coming out. So I've got blue highlights and purple highlights. I've almost got a camouflage head if I were to go into a rave. So, yeah, my pictures are not, I'm going to have to put the company hair on for the next picture I put up on my boards. Okay, Amanda, I will set it so that everybody has a second try. You've asked, I will count that as asking. Yeah, you guys should not really be that concerned about it. We've gone over this information. You have the information from both PowerPoints. You've done your readings. You've done the lynda.com videos, and you're keeping up with your data. If you've done all that, don't consider it a test. It's a knowledge check. Think of it as a knowledge check. It's, okay, did I hold on to that information? It's my information retention check. Because frankly, I could walk out of the room and forget that I did my lecture other than the fact that my computer's still processing it. Make sense? Because I'm Dory the fish and I just keep swimming along. So yes, I will turn those on after we get done tonight. So if anybody needs a redo, they can. I feel your pain, Amanda, you know, with too much stuff rattling around in our head, that contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity, all that crap rattling around there, plus everything we do every day for everybody else. That kind of, you know, we can't lock everybody out of a room for 45 minutes to an hour. And it's life in general, Brandon, yes. It all goes into our heads, and some of us have a very hard time taking out the unimportant information for an hour and focusing on what we need. The good news about this is that it's all open book, which means if you're having trouble finding the answer in your reading tool, or you need to open up another window, you can just do that right finger or two-fingered click and say open link in a new tab, and you can go find your readings. You can also search for definitions in Google by defining the words, and Command F and Control F on a PC will do something very amazing. I'm typing the word logo, and it tells me that it's in here 14 times. So that's where I can go find out, here's where I read that, and see if I need to locate that information and verify my answer. So it's a knowledge check that you know how to find your research. Yeah, that's how I did a lot of mine. I would not be a professor right now if we had not had open book tests. Command F, Control F if you're on a PC. And that one little shortcut saved my life in a 400 level marketing class, simply because I could not follow the textbook. It was all the same color. All of the diagrams and everything in it were the same color as the text. There were no subheads. It was all paragraphs. They didn't even bother to bold an important word in the textbook. And I couldn't read it because every line of text was like 9, 10 point in a book that, you know, looked like it was a computer manual for Microsoft. That big. Looked like my Apple repair manual. And marketing is a new language. Yeah, the eyes gave out. And even if I put a ruler on the page or a piece of paper to go line by line, by the time I got to the end of the line, because the text was too long, at 9, 10 points in blue, not black, on blue paper, blue text on bluish paper, I couldn't remember what I was looking for. So I went to the Learning Center and they gave me these tools to help me with my open book test. Use the marketing techniques. So I learned a few semesters ago in my business classes. Yes, yes. So those marketing techniques that you were learning in your marketing classes, they also apply to your design classes. That's why they make us take all of those classes, even though we just want to do the pretty stuff. So on to our assignment. So you're going to revise your logo, my instructions, and all of you should have gotten those today. I saw some awesome redesigns. I'm very happy that they've been turned in. We did go over those in Monday night's lecture, so we're not going to go over them tonight. But if you feel the need and your company warrants it, like going into a new year, a new age in software, new age in gaming, whatever, you're going to choose and update that Illustrator file for it. So then you're going to utilize it and a tagline, if applicable, on 3 promotional mockup templates. Now we've got all kinds of sites to go for mockups. You've also got your Creative Cloud, which is what we're going to use because I want you guys to learn how to use these. They're so cool. And I still got the mockups in here. So let's see here. I have a bottle mockup that I have already prepared. And shopping bags are excellent pieces of swag because your name is on that bag and somebody is carrying it around for everybody to see. So putting a logo on a bag, perfect. Especially if you're, you know, and say like a fair or a business fair, you're hiring. We have a home show where you can go get all kinds of freebies and swag. And I go every year because it's free to get in. I can go jewelry shopping from some of the local artisans. My husband can go look at whirlpools all he wants and travel trailers and all this good stuff. And I get to look at what's hot on the market this year for swag. And then I get to take free samples home. Yeah, awesome. So every time you get a chance to go to one of those, a free community fair that's got vendors coming in, go. And if there's a wedding venue or a wedding planner event going on, go. You may find a way to get in there next year as a designer for bridal invitations or wedding invitations, bridal announcements, bridesmaid stuff, you know, groomsmen party gear, you know, all that kind of stuff. So going to download one of these, then you're going to open it up. So I have mine already, but I have my Fit Fun food that I want to use. And anybody got a slogan for Fit Fun food? Healthy on the go, maybe? Not food on the run. How about fun for life or food for life? Food to live by. Good one, Lacey. It's not just Amanda that can do those. Food for life. So we're going to start with that. And since it is a smaller piece. I'm going to bring it out to match the end. And I think I'm going to put it in the purple. I like the purple one. Seems to work pretty well. So at that point, I'm going to select everything. I'm going to deselect my guide. No view, actually I'm going to hide those guides, clear guides. And I'm going to copy this. Oh, I need to fix something here. You guys see what it is? I need to fix my kerning. Got to make, it's a script font, right? So we've got to fix the kerning. Okay, there's one. Ooh, you can just do auto on that. That works. Thought there was something missing there. I come over here. Okay, thank you. Okay, an error box that won't go away. I have a locked up Illustrator. And it's probably going to tell me I got to force quit. So let me do that real quick. But I managed to get it all copied. There we go. And I've got a beautiful milk bottle we're going to use for Sit Fun Food. Tell it okay. There we are. There we go. So now that we've got everybody back together where they belong, pull it out there, type and create outlines. Oops. One thing I want to remind you of, guys, is if you were going to create outlines, move a copy off onto your Blackboard so you know what font you use later, because once you've created it into outlines, you have lost the name. It is no longer findable, and it takes forever to match. Food to live by. Lee, I'm sorry, I got the wrong one. Darn it. Okay, here we go. Copy it. Command C, Control C on the PC. And now I'm going to go into Photoshop. Now I found this bottle on one of these websites. I can't remember which one it is, but there's free t-shirts, there's free Photoshop mockups. You can find a lot of this stuff on the internet, and all you do is find the one that you're looking for. See how they're kind of generic and they're saying, come customize me? Okay, we do not have to rework a logo, so should I do that then make a slogan for it? Lee, if your grade says to change something in the critique from Monday night or in your grade, go ahead and fix it and then do your slogan for it, unless you feel that it's going to stand alone. So we have to download, we've got really cool bag here. So we download it and it tells me that the site cannot be reached. Wouldn't you know it? That would be my browser for the day. I don't need Slack anymore, thank you guys. But these mock-ups are very, very cool. So think about the ones you want to mock up. Do you want to do cards, thumb drives, the iPhone, an app for a punch card? You could design that. I think we need a better one here. Dharma Games, you could put a box, free t-shirt inside, but then you have to design all 4 sides. Let's see here. Let's go to the assignment and let's try this one. Okay. All kinds of stuff we can use here. Folders are very good for law firms and banks. See how it shows up so nifty? It's cool. Shopping bags. So this is actually on Behance, since I need to sign in. Okay. For everywhere, you could do a thumb drive, you could do a shopping bag, a business card. The thumb drive, you could actually have a map of the local fishing spots. I think my mouth is dry, and we're going to take just a couple-minute break where I refill the Diet Pepsi. You guys okay with that? Okay, I'm going to mute my mic, I'm going to get some Pepsi, and we'll meet back here in 5 minutes or less, okay? We'll be right back. To resume the recording. Okay, we're back, I think. Christine, that's all right if you need to go for dinner. It's Valentine's Day and I don't want you to miss it. Just remember to watch the demo on the, oh, you're banned from the kitchen right now. Okay. Are they cooking something special for you? Aw, that's so sweet. We had a visit from my favorite Schwansman today who brought me frozen Chinese food. So, ooh, you're so lucky. My daughter and I took my mother to Lobster Fest in Billings. It takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get up there, have lunch, ravage, oh, Air Force paid him to go to cooking school. Awesome. I sure hope he learned how to make something besides SOS. It has another name. Chip beef and gravy on dry toast. I never understood that thing, never. Or spam, stuff posing as meat. I was so glad when I learned how to drive and had a job. It meant I didn't have to eat my dad's cooking anymore. Somebody should never have let him in the kitchen. Okay. So for our bag, we're going to appreciate the artist project for one. And then we're going to scroll down and click on his download links. And no, My software is not, I don't need the ad. Okay, if I get a virus, you guys will know that this is, I can't do that one. Did you see that it said EXE? Yeah, can't do that. So we're going to skip the ad. It's rerouting us. So if it says EXE on it, you can't run it on a Mac. It's only for a PC. So here's our shopping bag mockup. We finally got where we needed to be. Click the green download button. Oh yay, it went into my downloads folder. Okay, so we're gonna open it up. And it's a PSD document. So when I open it, it's gonna automatically open in Photoshop. And all I have to do to turn off that is to turn the eyeball off. If I want to the contents, I right click, edit contents. This is where I'm going to, don't resolve. I'm going to select all, and I'm going to delete them. Okay, so layer 1. That didn't work, so I'm just going to deselect everything and find out. Okay, so now I'm going to paste, Command V. I want it to come in as a smart object. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and I'm going to move it down to group 1. Okay, maybe not. Okay, I'm going to close it and tell it to save it. And look what happens. Is that not the easiest thing to do? It's so cool. If you get the right mock-up, it is extremely easy. So let's say I use my bottle mock-up and I have my logo layer here. I know what all my overlays, I can even change the background color if I want to. So I'm going to use that Command V again. I am going to paste it as a smart object. And I'm going to fold this down so that it'll fit on the bottle. And hit enter. Some of them are so simple that you don't even have to work anything, and it does everything for you. And there is actually a big market in mock-up design, because there are actions in here that have to be done. And there's also an actions panel that if you guys are taking the bachelor's program, you'll actually learn to create your own actions. But this tells me that it's playing these actions here when I paste this in here. And all I got to do is hit the play button. And if I'm doing an action, I hit the record button when I do each piece. This is a really fun project, and I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun. So let's take a look at the Adobe Creative Cloud again and see if there's anything in here. Ooh, we can make a poster with our new logo. So I hit the download button. I'm going to put it in my library because I have too many of them that are named my library, which should probably have the font I'm drawing out on it. So while it's downloading, I know that I have to right click on this thing. And no, find similar place link. Okay, I think we're going to edit this one. Tape measure to measure the big fish they catch. That's a good one, Amanda. I think there's probably a, here's our poster. And all I got to do here is find the poster layer. And it says replace me. So I can come in here and do a Command V. And I need to move this underneath the clips. Got the glass shine. All I got to do is put it underneath the fold. Use my selection. And just kind of make sure I've got the right layer here. There we go. If all else fails, use your arrow keys. Hit enter. And then I can find if I have a background layer in color. So this had a color on it and a border. So ideally we could make this a whole poster with a white border behind it, make everything look really snazzy and sharp. And then all of the extra actions are already done for you. You've got the laying, the glass shine, the folds in the paper, the white noise. I'm not sure what all flag fold is, but yeah. And that's a really fun way to get your project into the mock-up state so you can show a client what it's going to look like when it's printed up. It sounds like it is the most complicated thing in the whole world. They want a mock-up? My teacher said I had to have a mock-up. What's a mock-up? I don't understand. I'm going to panic and not do the assignment because it's a mock-up. And oh my gosh, I can't do a mock-up. I don't know what it means to do in Photoshop. And I've stressed myself out and I'm ready to tear it up. Not that hard. It's fun, right? Yes, because I just did my very best impression of myself as a student. And didn't sound familiar at all. Any questions on how to do these mock-ups, or is there one you want to see done more than another? Am I by myself? Okay, what do you want to see done, Lee? Do you want to see a t-shirt maybe? Okay. And just because I know at the top of our list of things to do, or things to play with, some really cool signs to the hoodie. Download it. And I'm going to show you something really cool. We can do a mug. Let's see here. There's an aluminum can. We can do that one. And let's see what else we got. Now I told you guys about my design deals, right? Yeah, rubber stamps. I love doing rubber stamps. I've got a whole collection on the other wall over there, including some custom ones that you can't buy from the artist anymore. Oh, I love the old ice picks. They're gorgeous. My grandmother had one that the handle was cedar, and for some reason it was painted black. I thought it was so cool to go to her house and help her chop ice because her refrigerator didn't make ice. There's a bottle mock-up. You've never seen one? Awesome. I use a hammer now with a bag of ice. My ice machine works great, but if we have to go anywhere, I just put a hammer in the cooler or I drop it on cement. We got some really cool stuff in here we could play with. I'm just not seeing anything else. So let's see. Ooh, food packaging mock-ups. Those are cool. But lucky us, I have this wonderful thing from my design deals that I actually purchased because I was so tired of losing everything and not being able to find the template that I wanted. So somewhere in here is something that should say mock-ups. Can't remember. Willy Wonka quote. Okay. Nope, that's not it. See, Illustrator brushes, watercolor scans, lots of stuff. A lot of the stuff is free once you sign up. Vintage vector labels. So you can actually create your own label with some of these, put your own information on it, and then bring it into a mock-up. That is neat. It is very cool. Stitch brushes, musical vectors. We could even put it on a musical instrument, but that won't work. Yeah, don't want to put, fit fun food on musical instruments. That would just be silly. Holiday posters. There's all the fonts. So there are all of these things that I could use as an overlay to give my bottle some, get on a flute, out there playing flute music to the fish. I know there's a mock-up in here somewhere. But if you watch your news feed in Facebook and you are willing to spend the available cash that could go to the groceries, they're usually between 30 and 40 bucks for a zip pack. And I just can't remember where my there's textures, IOS pack. Don't know what I did with them. Embossed glitter text. There are so many of these because I think I got 50 of them free when I bought my first font set, which was huge. Tags. So we got some really cool things we can play with to make an advertisement to hang off of that bottle. So since everything seems to be downloaded now, we can hit edit. There's our hoodie mock-up. And all you've got to do is turn off the layer that you're looking for. And now that I have 3 copies of this in my library, I'm going to delete some of them. Click on it, and I'm going to drag it over. And I'm going to make sure I enlarge it so that it fits in here correctly. I want to make sure I'm not chopping off any eyes. Hit enter. And now I'm going to bring it down to the red layer and find out what's going on. That makes it lighter. Where did it go? Okay, got my, there we go. Got to put it under the design layer. So what do you think, guys? Now we have a hoodie. And if I decide I don't like the way it's positioned on the zipper, I can move it around and adjust it so that it fits. It's so awesome. Is anybody pretending to be the panic student now? Okay, there's one more step to this. Yeah, this is awesome. This is an awesome way to mock up. My husband just brought me a mug of cake with one bite left in it. Okay, so we've got our Fit Fun food. And how many of you guys have looked at the week 4 assignment yet? Anybody? No? Okay. Well, normally we don't go flipping to week 4. But there's something here I want you to see. And I want you to be aware of as professionals. And it's a trick I learned from one of my professors at the Academy of Art in San Francisco. And he explained to me that if I'm going to go to all the trouble of creating these things and putting them together in a PDF like the assignment calls for, why on earth am I doing these so that they're all different sizes? So you're going to be putting everything you create, from your creative brief to the recreated logo, everything is going to be in PDF. You're going to write your final assessment, but you need to have everything here as part of the final project. So with that being said, and those of you that have designed projects in your, you've designed your portfolio or your creative brief to present to a client. And you know you want this to be a really awesome project. So which one is that one mine? This one's mine. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your creative brief that you have all of the answers to, all filled out, and oh, this is a very old one. Before they redid this class, this is from when I took the class. So what we're going to do is get my gadget geek back. I like that one better. It's actually got some, where did I lose Marigold? Okay, so I've got some questions and answers on here. I've got some empty spaces, and I'm ready to go, right? So, got my additional comments, my one page of copy, and my cover page, and I'm good to go. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of those mock-ups that we've just done, and I'm going to put them into my creative brief at the very end of it. You can put it between your references if you choose. It's probably a good idea because you may come up with more references throughout the week or throughout the mod. And I'm going to go to Photoshop. And if I save this, I need to do a save as. So I'm going to save as. And I'm going to put this in a folder on my desktop because it's just a sample. Saved in a different location, so the one in my library is still fine. And I'm going to close it. Don't think I really want that one. I like the shopping bag. So I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to put it in that desktop folder again. Okay. And shopping bag and the bottle. Let's do Save As. Okay, so this is where it gets fun. Final step of the day. Saved everything in Photoshop. I'm going to go to InDesign now. And because I am building on the assignment each week, I'm going to keep everything together. So I'm going to place, and this is a really cool thing to do. Come in here, get everything I need, hold my shift key down, select it all, click open, and there's 1, 2, and 3. Now, some of these are very, very large. Can you imagine what that's going to look like if I tried to open that and convert those to PDFs without resizing them? They're huge because they're high resolution quality. They're print quality. So I'm going to shrink it down. I'm going to right click on it, go to fitting, fit content or fill frame proportionally. Then I'm going to shrink the frame and do so again. There's fit content, that if I want to fill frame proportionally, it keeps my bottle from being skewed and it still looks nice. I can do the same thing down here once I shrink some of these up a bit. This one's going to be the worst one. Pull that up here. And I'm not paying too much attention right now to whether or not I'm adjusting the whole picture, because I do want it to be smaller. I don't want it to take up 90% of my page. So now I have that one, and I can bring it up here. And use a design system of my choice, column grids, modular grid, whatever I want to do, to make this where the way it needs to be. So sit right click or 2-finger click, fill frame proportionally. And now I can pull out and see where I need to go. Pretty awesome, right? So this one needs to be shrunk again a lot. But it's a very cool sweatshirt. Don't you guys think that it turned out just awesome? Okay, getting closer. Some of these templates are really big. I'm going to bring it up here. Make sure I'm not running into anything. Drag it out a little bit. Fitting, fill frame, proportionally. Now I can center those in this column. And I can make it match because we've got a really nice big background. And I can make it look like 2 columns. And when I turn this in, everything that I've done is going to show up as a single project. I'm not going to have to go from, you know, keep hitting Command 0 every time. Now your assignment for this week is the assignment. Okay. So, got to post it on time. Follow the assignment directions. And we're going to be looking at the craftsmanship again. Okay. So you're going to send it in as a multi-page PDF. And since you're building on everything, doesn't it make sense? Because your final submission needs to be the multi-page PDF with the revised logo, the logo with the tagline, and 3 promotional mock-ups. So that means I need to go back into InDesign, and I need to insert a page here. And we're right here, so I'm going to add my page. Unfortunately, it went so low where I need it, so I'm going to bring it up. Just rearrange my pages a little bit. And this is where I'm going to put my logo. And I know that that logo is in my library, so I can open this up, pull out my library. There's my logo. Which seems to be very, very small. Still frame proportionally, so I can make this very big. I can even make my logo disappear on this one page because I want to highlight fit, fun, food. So I'm just going to center it. It's got my tagline on it. And now I'm going to go over here and Alt click on my background. No, Alt click on my page. That didn't work. So I'm going to override all master page items, and I'm going to delete my watermark so it doesn't interfere with my redesign. Looks pretty cool, right? Then I go down and I see my mock-ups. Awesome. What do you guys think? Would you be proud as a designer to hand that over to your client? Is that showing you a way to think as a professional, even though you're a student? Because you're not just a student. You have the potential right now to be professional. All it's going to take on your part is some marketing. No, because when you're done with this, spreads isn't going to be a problem at all. You just have to make sure that when you're done, you've got everything in the order it needs to be. So according to your assignment, you need to have your logo, a cohesive slogan, and utilize your logo with the tagline if applicable. If your tagline will not fit on your promo piece, you do not have to use it. You do have to come up with a tagline for your multi-page PDF though. So what promo pieces? Well, we use the bottle, the shirt, and the bag. And I will be in the Student Success Center all day on Saturday to help anybody who comes in. I'll be in there from 9 to 4 or 9 to 3. I think it's 9 to 3. Might be 9 to 4. So you guys can come into the Student Success Center, not the classroom, and see me. And I know that DJ Nadine, Wanda, and I think Bill are all going to be in the Student Success Center Thursday and Friday. And I believe that tonight and tomorrow night they're open from like 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then Friday and Saturday they're open till midnight. So you'll get to go see anybody you need to know to get help with these mock-ups. But what I would really, really like to see with you guys is to make them professional pieces that you're proud to show off. Add them to your creative brief and submit the whole thing as a PDF. And in case anybody needs to know, all I have to do is I need to go to File, and I'm going to save as because I don't have this created as a template. I should, but I don't. So I'm going to put this in my week 2 folder because it's my week 2 assignment, and it's going to be DES209. 209. I cut my fingernails. I swear, this keyboard is nuts. The underscore, your last name, not mine. Underscore week 2. And I'm just going to save it. Once I have that saved, I'm going to go to Adobe PDF, and I have Press Quality. I'm going to save it in the same folder. And I need to adjust this a little bit. I want to print all in my PDF, although I don't have to. I could give it a range, say I only need pages 4 and 5 for the assignment. I can just turn in pages 4 and 5. But it, you know, nice professional goes and gives them everything over and over again so that they're on that same payment scale. You've got your contract and you're following them on your end. So here we go. We want to view the PDF after exporting. I do not need marks and bleeds on this because it's not going to a printer. So I'm going to export. Currently available, yes, I know, thank you. And I'm going to click OK. And now when I do Command 0, it shows really big when it comes up. It gives me 162%. I don't need that. Command 0 puts it down at a readable size that I can see on my monitor. There's my information. And I've been a good student and I filled all that in because I'm pretending to be you guys. And then I have my logo and my slogan. And then I have my promo items. And it looks nice, clean, and professional. So this is what I would, the end product that I would like to see you guys coming in with. And then you can add on to it next week with the Facebook ad and the banner. And I think there may be a billboard or something in next week. But this gives you the opportunity to actually build on the skills and show your client what your thought process is. So what do you guys think of this project? You guys can unmute if you want to just talk instead of type. Yeah, everybody's still got work to do. But this project isn't as intimidating anymore, is it? It's a lot of copy and paste, and it's making sure you get the right type of mock-up file. And once you copy it and paste it once, it's in that Creative Cloud library that travels with you from program to program to program. And like I've said from the first day I became a teacher, Photoshop, or not Photoshop, but InDesign is the glue that holds Illustrator and Photoshop together, and they all work in conjunction. And being able to show that you know how to use all three in conjunction makes you look far more professional. I even have matching purple folders because, you know, there's whole cases of purple folders on sale at Walmart and back to school. I use a 3-hole punch, put the whole thing in the folder and take it with me to client. And the folders are only 15 cents a piece, so I don't feel bad if I lose my folder. But I also keep all the receipts in there that I'm charging them for, my travel time, and the budget. Everything goes in that one folder, whether it's on my computer or a folder on my desktop, so I can write notes to myself. Client calls, we talked from 12:15 to 1:45 about, and then I get to charge him for that time that he's taking, talking about whatever it is that he wants changed. So then I can add it to the bill. I have billable hours that I need to be charging him for. So when I did my logos for JTC Designs, and you guys have seen the website, I could spell. So you guys see this really bright purple. Any purple I choose in any shade is going to be okay. I can deal with this. So I just bought out all the purple folders at Walmart, 15 cents a piece, buy 100 folders and nothing flat, no big deal. And then I just keep all the information, receipts, mileage, and anything else that they could possibly be needing, you know, as far as my timesheets and research hours for them. All of that goes into that folder so that I can justify what was spent where for a itemized receipt, so they can do their, if they're a 501(c) or a limited liability company, they have all of that information for their accountants because that's a tax deductible item that they can use on their business. So it gets kind of complicated after that point, but I just collect everything and let Jerry take care of the rest. He has an associate's degree in graphic design. I think it's worth making him use it. So it sounds like a lot of fun, right? This is what you wanted to get into, right? As I'm smiling like the Cheshire Cat, gives you all kinds of really awesome ideas that you guys can use for yourself. Help you with your organization. I know we have a couple of students who are far more organized. We have, who is it that was doing had everything color coordinated in the drawers and everything was by size and everything had to be just so, and I have a mess on my desk. Yeah, I have to have everything just so on my computer, but my desk, unless I'm working with a current client, they don't really see what I'm doing. Although I do have one who likes to come over and sit over my shoulder and watch. So that's my character development. Trying to see if I've got a folder in here for a client that I could show you guys with the camera. Because I know I had one. I just got to remember what I did with her. Ha! Press the folder. That's English. Let's see here. Hey, what do you know? I actually put a folder away. I think my husband's rummaging through my files again. Aha, here's one. These two will work nicely to show you how this works because these are online programs for customers. Okay, so let me turn on the camera and I will show you guys what this looks like. Okay, so here's my folder. This was for a wedding. Just cheap, flimsy 15-cent folders. They might have been Rachel. And all of her actual deliverables were given to her online. So I do have a folder for her. But since I was one of the bridesmaids, actually it's maid of honor, we actually had to go pick out fabric. So for her folder, in order to match the colors for her wedding, I needed the fabric samples. Now I think David's Bridal charges you $3 to $5 for each fabric sample. So yeah, I'm not going to throw those away because I'm going to bill her for them when I send her the bill. Now this is already done, it's a past project, but the other one is for a friend of mine who is putting a game, online role-playing game together. So in this folder, I have his emails to me about changes that he'd like. He's got maps and diagrams that he wants built, and he wants character sheets planned out. So all of that information is in here. And then when I finish, I go and put it on a Facebook page for a group, and then they decide whether or not to keep it or go on with something else for the project. But this book of his has been ongoing now for 15 years, and I'm really wishing he would start to finish instead of keep changing it halfway through. And then I've got a pizzeria who I keep receipts for when I go out, gas receipts, because she's 50 miles away and it's a 120-mile round trip for me to go see her. So, did you guys have any questions or anything about what we've covered tonight? Why it's important? How to do it? Are we ready to go have some fun? Oh, thank you. I thought this was kind of fun. I did this in Muse. And did you guys know you get to make your own graduation announcements? I made mine and my husband's in 5x7 postcards, and I had intended to, make them as mailers. But then our post office here is funky, and they wanted them put in envelopes, so they ended up getting mailed out just like this. And this is part of that whole mock-up thing. And that's a 3D version of the can done in Photoshop, and the label that was created to wrap around the can. Posters, logos. And under the portfolio link, you can go into logo design and photo restoration. I really like photo restoration. Do you guys have anything that you're absolutely passionate about when it comes to graphic design and graphic arts? Photo restoration is my favorite by far, I think. Just haven't got anybody to pay me for it yet. And this is my grandmother, and my mother was thrilled to have a picture back that didn't have a big black thumbprint on it. She was born in 1910, and I was lucky, very, very lucky to get this out of my grandfather's trunk, great-grandfather. Everything was covered in mud and muck, and not only did I have to physically clean the images, but I had to restore them digitally as well. So now my mom has a record of her mom as a little girl, and I think that's the only picture we have left of her. So it was kind of rewarding to see my mom's face light up when she saw the picture restored side by side and printed next to each other. This one was the hard one. And I have a practice picture that I'm working on. That's of 3 women. I don't know who they are, but I'm having to recreate the calico print and the little crosshatch squares. I had to recreate part of one space. I'm having to recreate wall decorations, and it's just a practice project. I'm not sure I'll ever finish it because it's so damaged, but fixing this allows me to keep working on that one because of that, that 15,000 hours of practice time. If you don't keep practicing, you lose it. Awesome, you shared the wedding photo of your grandparents. Good job, Amanda. I love restoration. This is a friend of mine's mother, and she is absolutely awesome in InDesign. Not so much on the photo restoration, but she can do InDesign and logo design without a problem. But when it kind of came to restoring the photo to what it should look like in the day, I got to do with her right after her father passed away. So she had a brand new image, and they both match fairly well in color for their ages at the time. And that's kind of a passion of mine, is to see how far I can take it back to the original instead of trying to bring it forward into the present. I want to restore it to what it was when it was first made. This is my favorite thing. And I was lucky enough that at the time we got to pick our capstone projects, and doing manual and digital photo restoration was something I was very passionate about and wanted to do. Yeah, the color restorations, that cat in your first Photoshop class, he's something else. You gotta select the eyes, reflect it, move it up, move it down, fade it out. You know, it's that one is a very trying piece, even for me. And I think a lot of it's because of color. I insist on putting everything back to the way it was when it was first taken, not bringing it in now. So if it was poor Polaroid quality color, then I'm going to take it back to that original, not bring it into look like it was taken yesterday. Yours was comical, Lee. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to come across these projects and have fun with practicing with them. And you know, I'll go out and search for somebody who says, hey, I've got this picture and I want to restore it. How do I do it? Well, you know, we kind of do laugh at some of the assignments, some of them because they are so good we didn't expect it to come out that way. And then we laugh with joy because a student who's having trouble, you know, figured something out for themselves and was just blown away by the fact that they could do it. I love those moments. Makes me feel like I did something special that day. Yeah, funny in a good way. You look at something and you realize, I did that. That is mine. And you get to show it to somebody. And I keep as much of my portfolio as I can on the website, because if I take my phone or my iPad with me, I can access my website on either device because I programmed it to run mobile. You should be. I recreated one for my husband of his father during World War II in his Navy. And we found it folded up in his mother's picture frame after she passed away at the nursing home. And it had a big crease running down it, like she'd been sleeping with it under her pillow. And I fixed it so that he would have a full restoration of that World War II era picture. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And that was before I even started school to finish my education. And I don't think my education will ever be finished. I always come up with something different, something I want to try more. So, well, if you guys don't have any questions about the assessment or the assignment and what we're looking for, and what I'm expecting you guys to turn in, because you guys, you know, we're working towards that professional angle here that we want to show off to the client. So if you need to fix anything from the suggestions from this week, fix those, add your logo and slogan, add your pieces for your promo, and then save it as a PDF and turn the whole thing in. But I want to see you guys practicing those design skills that you are going to be known for. So if nobody has any questions that need to be recorded, I'm going to go ahead and shut off the recording, and then okay, I will see you hopefully Saturday, unless you don't need help, which I'm pretty sure you guys are going to figure this out, Lee. You guys are going to be good. You guys have a great night, and I will see you either Saturday or Monday in class. Oh, and I'm in the Suss Center on Monday if you're having issues and have contacted me. So let me know, guys, and I'll see you soon. Good night.